Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia J, and I'm here with Ashley Nicole Moss.
Finally. I feel like
know.
I haven't seen you in 100 years. We've been doing a lot in a small window of time. I feel like I've been living in airports, been doing panels, doing interviews, but I haven't been doing WNBA All-Star Weekend, which you are fresh from. And I was scrolling my timeline earlier, and I want to say it was Tarika, Christina, one of the WNBA girlies that we're so familiar with, and she tweeted out, "I'm literally still recovering from WNBA All-Star. Is anybody else in the same boat as me?" And I was like, this is great, because I'm going to speak to Alicia today, and she's going to give me the 411 on what went down in Indy. I will say this, from the outside looking in, it looked like y'all had a time. A time was had. So break it down for me.
Well, Ashley, first, I just want to say I'm excited to break down the first half of the season and give a preview of the second half. That's why we're all here today live with everybody. But let me break down this All-Star before we get to that, because it was by far, I've been to many NBA All-Stars or All-Star, weekends. I've been to WNBA ones, and this by far was the best one I've ever been to. Hands down.
Was this your second time ever doing it?
Second time for WNBA, but I'm saying
congrats, first of all.
celebration for the best one.
Yeah.
Period. But I'm saying I had been to maybe like 12 or 13, and not to make it, men against women or anything, but 12 or 13 NBA All-Star. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And by far it was the best. I mean, the energy that was there, the stud buds were doing their 72-hour live stream, and they were everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. And on top of that, it just was like good vibes. When you were around, just in Indiana, walking around, that city was ready for All-Star. Everywhere you looked was the WNBA. You saw there were events, so many that there's no way you could make it to every single one. And it was just, by and large, the game itself, there were arguments about, oh, there's no defense, whatever. It's an All-Star game. People were having fun. Yeah. It was just a great environment to be in. And it just really showed the growth of the W2. There was just so many things. I can't say enough about the weekend, but what I will say is I'm with Tarika or Christine, whoever said that they have not recovered. I sure have not recovered either. I'm not built for that, Ashley. I'm not built for it anymore.
I mean, first of all, speaking of Tarika, you and Tarika broke it all down live right after the All-Star game happened. So if you all missed that and the live stream of it all, make sure you head over to our YouTube page and you can catch that on the rewind, because there's a lot of great content there. And again, as usual, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms as listed below, and make sure you are subscribed and following our YouTube channel. If you're someone who likes to listen to your podcast, that's okay too, because we have a QR code that you can scan, and that will help you find us wherever you get your podcast. Here it is. We're on Spotify and we're on Apple. So look, there's no reason to not be tapped in with We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T, because although Alicia is still recovering, she handled business when she was there in Indianapolis. I do vote, though, just want to put this out there, for better cities for All-Star weekends. No knock to Indy, but can we get like a Miami? Can we get a Atlanta? Can we get a LA? Can we, men's All-Star weekend is going to be in LA next year. But one thing, like it grinds my gears about the comparison from All-Star to Super Bowl. Is like Super Bowl's in like these major cool cities, right? It goes Vegas, and then you got to go to like Utah for All-Star weekend. No knock to Utah. They have beautiful mountains, skiing, if that's your thing, but it's like Vegas and then Utah. It's a big fall off. I want to vouch for bigger cities. That's all.
I understand what you're saying. I love a bigger city too, but I will just say Indiana came correct. They did. Indiana came correct. And it's really like a mecca of women's basketball as well. Like if you really want to break it down, but it literally, it was good, Ashley. Like I can't, if you weren't there, not to say you missed out, but you did. You missed out. And so honestly, I just want to thank Indiana for what they did, because it really was I'm not saying I was anticipating much. Okay. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
But they came through. They came through, and just everybody who was there, whether they traveled in or they were from the city, it was a great environment to be in for sure. So,
and look, there's a lot of storylines that happened during All-Star Weekend that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. But before we get into that, it's already half the season, if you can believe that.
Cannot believe it.
I feel like time is flying by. July went like this. We're about to be in August. Next thing you know, we're going to see Halloween commercials. Then it's Thanksgiving commercials. Then it's like, slow down, everybody.
Actually, I went to Lowe's yesterday. Okay. Whatever. I went to Lowe's yesterday. They had Halloween decorations out.
No, man.
It's too early.
I just need everyone to like calm down. Like 2025 is leaving like it's got somewhere to be. Like you need to
stop rushing it
down, sis. Like slow your roll. But we are at the half of the WNBA season. So there's a lot to kind of break down of what's going on at this point of the season. A whole half left to play. But how are you feeling so far? I know you have some awards that you want to give out, and we agree on a lot of these. So let's just kick it off.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk MVP. And to me, it is very, very clear. And if you want to argue in the comments, please do, because that's why we do these things live. We love to hear from you. But Napheesa Collier, you got to give her everything, all the flowers, everything that is coming to her, because she's averaging 23 points, 7.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists. The Lynx are number one overall. She obviously just won the All-Star MVP. I think she did set a record for scoring the most points in a WNBA All-Star game. She's been Western Conference Player of the Week. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
She is clearly, to me, the head of the MVP race this season so far.
I agree with you completely. And it's just been really cool to watch her continue the trajectory, because I've spoken about how I've seen her and a bunch of other players that we'll talk about in Unrivaled. And I think that to just continue that trajectory coming off of the season she had before Unrivaled. Obviously, we know the matchup between the Lynx and the Liberty in the WNBA finals, and just that very notorious final game in that series, and kind of how everybody felt about that, how she felt about it. And then she goes into Unrivaled and she just balls out. And for people who were never familiar with Fee, you know who she is now if you didn't know before. And she's just shown zero signs of slowing down. I absolutely love it. And she's wearing so many different hats. You know, now she's a business owner and she's handling that. And Unrivaled's been doing amazing things.
A mother.
And yes, a mother, a wife. And she's still just dominating MVP. I like that. MVP. I like that. Period. She needs to, I hope she gets that on some merch. But yeah, I agree with you completely. I don't think there's anybody currently in the league doing what she's doing night in, night out.
Absolutely not. And I think a lot of that obviously is just because she's a stellar player, but also she's just fueled by not winning last year. And she's putting everyone on notice, and she has been the whole season. So definitely right now the MVP, and we'll see how it pans out for the second half. But Rookie of the Year, this one's interesting because the rookies are on fire this year. I mean, you can talk about almost any team and there's a rookie that is doing their thing, but I have to give it to Paige. Paige, right now, she's leading all rookies in scoring and assists. And, you know, she's only played around 19 games. That sounds like only, that's a lot of games, but she had a little bit of an injury and she's overcome that right now as well, which is a big thing. I mean, I would say Kiki and Sonia are like right behind her. But another thing that leads me to pick her as the Rookie of the Year right now is her leadership with the team. You know, the Wings aren't necessarily having the greatest of seasons, but she's already out there showing what kind of leader she is as a WNBA player. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at the total package and just how she has impacted the team that she's on, how she's impacted just in her stat line, I would pick Paige Beckers currently right now as the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I think that was a thing that a lot of people were excited to kind of see, was just, you know, obviously I think that Dallas is in a weird situation right now, but I also think that we sometimes put too much emphasis on rookies being the ultimate fix for everything. And I think that's just not fair to them either. And I don't think we just do this in the W. I think we have an issue with this in the NBA. We kind of think that one player, and especially a young player, making that transition from collegiate to professional, or, international to professional, depending on what their journey looks like, is going to just turn an organization around. And I think that because of that, some people may try to downplay what Paige has been doing in her rookie season, which would just be crazy, because when you just look at what she's doing in comparison to a great rookie class, I know that this rookie class necessarily didn't have the notoriety maybe that last year's rookie class did, with Caitlin and Angel and all the names, and Cameron, and the list goes on and on. But this was such a solid rookie class. It's been such an impressive rookie class. And for Paige to really be above her competition in terms of Kiki and Sonia, and the list goes on and on, is definitely nothing that you can kind of just put your nose in the air about. It's very impressive because this is a solid rookie class. But Paige is just such a special player, and I'm just happy that her transition has been a smooth one so far.
Yeah, and what's really, I guess, something that goes under the radar a lot with the rookies is that transition is hard. They're coming straight from college, going right into the W, and like literally playing weeks later. And so to see these rookies transition in the way that they have has been great. And I feel like her transition has been stellar. So definitely looking forward to watching the rookies for the rest of the season to see how that pans out. Now, this next one actually is a tricky one in that there are a lot of new coaches in the league, and there's a lot of success on different teams that we didn't necessarily think was going to be there. And one of them is definitely the Valkyries. And because of everything that they have done with that expansion team in its first year, I would pick Natalie Nakase as coach of the year right now, because it is so hard to start an expansion team, but to select the players that she has, and I know it's her and her team, but she's the head of it, right? So to select the players that her and her team has, and to coach them in the way that they do, and to also have it be like, you don't have she said she doesn't have a franchise player. There's no face of the franchise. There's 12 players that are all on one accord out there,
and figuring it out together in real time.
Yeah, they're figuring it out together, and they're just picking up where each other is leaving off when they need to, and making sure that, the sum of the part is greater than just one player, right? And that's what you need when you have an expansion team that, they got chips on their shoulders for sure, because a lot of them were unprotected. They haven't been seen on the teams that they have been on. They're not utilized in the way that they should have been. And so she's been just amazing at putting this team together that is doing unprecedented things in this league.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. This was actually my pick as well, just because it's really hard to it's hard to be a new coach in an existing franchise. Whenever there's a coaching change and you're trying to establish your own culture in an existing culture, and you have players who were familiar with their previous coach, had a relationship with that previous coach, there's already growing pains and obstacles to overcome when you are a coach in a team or part of a franchise that has existed for X amount of years, right? But to really just kind of go in with no blueprint, no game plan, no tape, if you will, of like what works and what doesn't work, and really have to learn in real time how to make this team work and how to win games is so difficult. And it's definitely not something that you can just dismiss anybody who's able to do it successfully, whether completely, whether partially. And I just think that the Valkyries, what they've been able to do in this first season is just so impressive. You basically took a team of 12 strangers, threw them on a team, and said, let's figure out how to play together. And we have 4 weeks to do it. It's kind of insane when you think about it. And the fact that Coach Nally's been able to just do this as seamlessly as she's been able to in a league that's very competitive and extremely difficult to win in, is just, I think it's very, very impressive overall.
And let's be clear, she has the resume, right? She has the resume, and she has been an assistant on mean, she's done so many things, but most recently she's been an assistant on the Aces, which obviously had such success, right? But it's a far different thing to be a head coach for the first time in the WNBA. And then on top of it, it's for an expansion team. And she's just done it in such an amazing way. I almost want to call it for the year, just on the strength of what has happened so far. But again, we're only halfway. But at this point, it's got to be Nikase, as far as I'm concerned. Now, there's a lot of teams that are doing well, actually, that we didn't necessarily think would do the numbers and win the games that they have. So we're going to talk sleeper teams right now and who we think is the top sleeper team. And I have to go with the Phoenix Mercury. And I know it's crazy because they're number 3. So it's like, are they a sleeper team? Because obviously they're at the top.
Right.
But they're definitely a team that I think people are sleeping on. You know, they aren't putting enough respect on their name. You know, they have the big 3 they have they have the big 3 in Thomas, and then you got Satu, and then you have oh my gosh, why can't I say her name? My whole brain just left me. You know how that is, Ashley, where it's like Ka. You have Ka. Sorry.
Right.
Come on. I love her. I apologize. I must need some food. I'm a little hungry or something. But
just add a DB. Can't forget that as well.
Well, yeah. So then on top of that, that's where I was going is you had DeWanna Bonner, who is a champion a million times over and a vet in this league that brings so much to the team on top of that. And then you also have the chemistry. Like you're seeing in real time, like this whole team that is playing together. And another person that people don't necessarily talk about is Makani. She is a rookie point guard that is doing some great things for the team as well. Now she's an older rookie, right? She's played professional in a lot of different ways, but she's a rookie in the WNBA this year. So she's doing, I mean, the team is stacked. They're deep. They play incredible defense. And, they're number 3 in the standings. I just feel like there's so much more out of this team that we're going to see. And even at number 3, I'm picking them as a sleeper team because they haven't even necessarily played with everybody. I think there was a stat here that said that, the big 3 has only played in like 6 games together or something because of injury. And so they're not even like firing on all cylinders yet. And they're doing such great basketball and they're doing such a great job. So you can't sleep on them. I'm telling you that right now.
No, you definitely can't. My sleeper team is not quite a team that I think is going to make some noise in the postseason, but it's a loose interpretation of sleeper just because I'm really so impressed with how they've looked when the expectations for this team going into this season were so low. And that's the Mystics. I just think that right now, looking at their record, they're 11-12, so right under 500. At home, 7-4. Away, they've struggled a little bit. Right now, they're on a 2-game winning streak, or they were on a 2-game winning streak. Right now they're on a 2-game winning streak after the break. For me, I'm just so impressed by this team because they're a team with a lot of young players, a lot of rookies, and they're a team that was going through a phase of trying to figure out what the next iteration was going to be, right? And that could always be like a weird limbo phase. All good teams have gone through it, and sometimes it takes them a little bit longer to get out of it. But I've just been so impressed by how these players have played as individuals, but also how they've been able to play as a team. And I don't know if it's because the pressure is not there. And I think a lot of people didn't have expectations for this Mystics team, that it's allowed these players to grow and win and even lose without the pressure of expectation. But I just think that, I don't know. I know a lot of people were giving this Mystics team, they'll be good in, 3-4 years from. If they continue this trajectory, we could be talking about this Mystics team drastically different next season. And that's why they're, for me, maybe not a sleeper team this particular season, but I just think a sleeper team in the W as a whole.
Yeah, Lucy Olson is definitely a great addition for the Mystics. And when you look at what they're doing, they also have the two rookies that are just like powerhouses already, right? So when you look at their future, it's definitely bright, but also they're doing the dang thing right now. And a big reason for that leads me to the most underrated player that I wanted to talk about. And drop your in the chat who you think are the most underrated players as well right now. But Brittany Sykes, like we have to talk about how people are not putting respect on her name. She leads the Mystics in scoring. Her defense has always been phenomenal, but it is just stifling, right? And I think the thing that people don't really look to her as much as they should is she is an amazing leader. She is leading that team into what we were just talking about, being a team that is doing really great things right now and not just in the future. Like I would love to be a rookie underneath her because she is leading them in a great way and lifting them up. And you can see that in their play. I mean, they're great players, don't get it twisted, but going into the W, having a vet that leads you in the way that she's leading is invaluable. So she was not selected to be in the All-Star game, and she should have been. She did ultimately play because of injuries. Like she was selected then to replace an injured player. However, she should have been on it in the beginning. I think it was great that both of the Mystics rookies were on the team, but she is surpassing them in all ways of play. So it's like, come on now, like Brittany Sykes, she deserves all the respect. And so for me, she's definitely completely underrated as a player. And people need to put a little bit more respect on her name, a lot more, she would probably say.
Definitely.
Not to put words in her mouth, but
not too much to add there. I agree with you completely. I think it's just, and again, to your point, I think it just goes back to how difficult it's getting each and every year to vote all-stars into the W all-star game as a whole, because there is so much talent. And obviously it's the names that everybody knows, and it's semi a popularity contest. And I think all-star, Pro Bowl, name a sport, they're all kind of like that to a degree. And you see the same faces because they're on the biggest stage, or they have the most longevity, or they have the brand endorsements, and they're kind of on the tip of everybody's tongue. But I definitely think this goes back to the conversation we were kind of having before All-Star break. And that is like, maybe we need to start thinking about expanding the rosters because of how much talent we are losing out on in these type of experience, these fan experiences, if you will, that showcase the best of the best. Because to your point, a player like Sykes absolutely had the credentials to be selected as an all-star this year. And it's a shame that there weren't simply enough spots to make that happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love seeing her play. But she earned it before she was that selection. I'm just putting it out there. Now, there are some, I almost hate to call it this, like a biggest letdown team and player at this point in the season. But I just, maybe like the expectation, they didn't necessarily live up to it. Letdown just sounds so harsh. It sounds so harsh to me. But we're going to talk about a team and a player. I would say for me, the team is the Chicago Sky. When you look at their roster, they're definitely deeper than what I think their numbers are showing, and the amount of wins that they've had. People were really excited to, they have a new coach. They were obviously excited to see Angel play, and she has turned her season around in amazing ways. So this is not an indictment on her.
For sure.
But I just think as a whole, they're just not playing up to the potential that they have. And I just expected more out of them. I think a lot of other people expected more out of them. And so my team would be the Sky, and a specific player, I'm going with Jewel Lloyd. Man, she's such a phenomenal player. There was that blockbuster trade that happened in the offseason. I'm going to the Aces. You're going to a team where you played with so many of the players that are already on there. And I know that transitions are hard, and by no means, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And she is, I would say, it's turning around some. But by and large, just with the team she was going to, the players that she's playing with, that she's already played with before, the chemistry that seemed to have been there, I just thought she would have more of an impact at this point in the season.
Yeah, I can definitely, see that. I think for me, I'm going in a little bit of a different direction. My biggest letdown team right now is the Seattle Storm. And, I know that they're third in the Western Conference, fourth in the league right now, but they've just been a little bit inconsistent for me right now, sitting at 14-10. At home, 8-5, their away record 6-5. But I just don't know if I've seen that dominance from this team that like I was expecting at the very beginning of the season. And you know how high I was on this Storm team and all the acquisitions that they made and having a nice mix between veteran leadership and younger players in the league. And I don't know if it's been a combination of just the growing pains of like we've kind of been highlighting and celebrating the Valkyries for, if it's just figuring out how to make all these individual pieces that are so dominant, separate, work together as a unit, and just not having the time to do it. Or if there's like a missing piece somewhere that I just can't put my finger on. Again, this is obviously not a failure. They're in great position right now. I just would like to see in this second half of the season a more cohesive Seattle Storm, a Seattle Storm where, again, this is a team that I said could rule the Western Conference. And right now there are moments where it seems like they're struggling to just have an identity. And I think that's the biggest word I can use is I hope in the second half of the season, I see more of an identity for the Seattle Storm and see kind of that just ferociousness that I was kind of expecting from this team so early in the off season. And my player, people are going to come for me, but this is not a knock on her. I think my biggest letdown so far is just Caitlin Clark because of the injury. I think that, we saw what she did her rookie season and obviously all the hoopla and everything that surrounds Caitlin Clark. And I was really excited to see her now have what I hoped would have been a quieter season in terms of the discourse that surrounds her and really just see her now comfortable in her space as a player in this league and now kind of have that monkey off her back of making that transition from college to professional. Now that's kind of in the wayside and you can just focus on being a WNBA player. And the injuries just have stifled, I feel like, that moment for a lot of her fans. And it's hard to get into a swing of things when you're constantly missing time for an injury. And I know that she's probably extremely frustrated with her situation as well. Every time she thinks she's good to go, there's a setback. And I'm sure her team's frustrated with it as well. So for me, I want to say that's the biggest letdown. And it's obviously something that she necessarily is not to blame for. Your body is your body, right, and your body reacts to injuries and, you heal at the rate that you heal. But it's definitely been a letdown because I'm just so excited to kind of see her dominate this season as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the last We Need to Talk show that we had, but Lisa said on that show, and it went kind of viral, but you can also go take a look at it on social. She said that she had sustained a groin injury in her career, and it still to this day bothers her. So it has to be so frustrating for anybody with an injury, right? But yeah, I think specifically of a groin one, I mean, just like it's connected to so many things when you're a player. And it's the pain that, you have to kind of like manage, and the healing isn't necessarily something that can happen all the way and then you re-injure it. It's got to be so frustrating, but it's definitely been a letdown for her, I'm sure, as well. So, I mean, not the season she probably thought she was going to have, but we'll definitely keep, tabs on everything that's happening with her. And hopefully she'll heal up soon so that she feels, confident to go out there and be the Caitlin that we, thought we would see this season. So,
yeah, and that we hope to see this season as well. Again,
absolutely.
There's a lot of time left in the season. She's young, so hopefully she can bounce back. So we've given out awards for the first half, but there also have been a lot of storylines to come out of the WNBA in the first half of the season. Good, bad, somewhere in the middle, the gift that keeps on giving. So for you, Alicia, what would be your biggest storyline of the first half of this WNBA season?
I mean, it's definitely something everybody is talking about nonstop, and it should be, and it's the CBA. We at All Star, we definitely saw the players come out in the "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts, which is a statement without saying a word. It was one of those moments where I was proud of them, but also just like I was glad to be in the building to see them run out and show everybody exactly where they stand. The W players, you know, they have never backed down from anything, whether it be a social issue or this, right? And they're not going to, because they understand, and I don't want to speak for them, but they understand that this is the foundation for years to come for the players that are coming in. It's vindication for the players who have played in this league that have deserved more from the beginning of the league starting, you know, from the beginning of the league. And so the CBA for me, has to be the top storyline of the whole season. Like, I'll just say not even halfway through, but the whole season, because it's so important that the players are paid, you know, pay us what you owe us. That is exactly what needs to happen. I mean, there's so many things to iron out, but the pay has to increase, and you can see that they know that and that they're going to stand on business.
Yeah.
And so that would be the top story for me, and has to remain the top story until we see the CBA that they deserve.
Yeah, I was actually, I was in LA when I saw the footage on Sports Center of the moment. I wasn't able to watch it happen in real time, but watching the highlights of it, it was just obviously, covering the NBA during Black Lives Matter and how the players banded together in multiple ways and covering that. It was really cool to see the WNBA from a selfish standpoint. Selfish meaning this affects us. This is not about the greater good of society, of civil of issues. This is about our immediate bubble. And I love that because, for people who don't remember, the WNBA has always been very outspoken on social issues. When you remember the bubble as well, they were very outspoken with their protests during Black Lives Matter. We all remember the orange hoodies and how that went viral as well. So it was really cool to see them be selfish for a moment and use that power that they have as a group to band together to do something that's going to benefit not only the players immediately in the league, but the players that are going to come after them. Because I think people tend to forget that CBA is for an extended period of time. So yes, a lot of these players, who are, especially the players who are at the tail end of their career or, the later part of their career, aren't going to reap the full benefits of the CBA. It's not like they're going to reap the full benefits of the entirety of this new version. So it's not just about them, it's about the women that come after them. And I think that when people focus on that aspect as well, they can realize how powerful movements like this actually are. And I thought it was great. I really enjoyed seeing it. I thought the crowd chanting as well, pay the players, was super cool. I saw the signs that they kind of showcased that people had made, the makeshift signs. And I also just want to put out there for everybody, it's okay to not know every inner working of how a league works. I'm somebody who, I was horrible at math. I cheated my way through high school algebra. Like, shout out to the guys who used to help me pass. I would never sit up on Twitter or on TV and pretend to be this economics connoisseur. I'm not Warren Buffett. I don't understand every inner working of evaluations and profitability and all the things that go into that. I'm not going to pretend to understand every inner working of that. And I just encourage people who don't understand that to maybe just not speak on what's profitable and what's not profitable, and just keep that in the lane of the people who actually understand what they're talking about. That's my only ask. So
yeah, I have nothing to add on that but a period. Just put a period on that.
That's all I ask. I think for me, the biggest storyline outside of that has to be Caitlin Clark. Going back to her, I just think that her injury and how it's impacted the Fever, a team who did so much in the offseason, from coaching to the the reports of the new facilities that they're building to the players and the personnel. And this was a team that we were talking about at this point last season that, hey, they may not be like a deep playoff team, but they're definitely a team you don't want to run into because they have a fight. They have a ferociousness about them. And I just think it's been really disappointing, again, to no fault of her own, that her season has been so stop and go because of her injury. And I think that it has impacted the Fever in a multitude of ways. But I do think this, I think that when Caitlin comes back fully healthy, this moment in time is going to make her a better player. I was actually just talking to one of my friends about this, and Caitlin spoke to this as well when the injury first happened at the top of the season, that she was going to start to see the game from a different vantage point because she wasn't playing. And I think that for a player who's already so skilled, I'm curious to see how this time away from the game and having to look at it from a coach's standpoint, essentially, is going to help her in her productivity and her development as a player when she gets back on the court. I'm excited to see that. Obviously, the important thing is for her not to rush back before she is healthy, because as we know, and as we have seen across sports, that has a absolutely different risk factor. And we don't even want to have that conversation, put that into the universe. I'm just really excited to see her when she comes back fully healthy, because I think her team is obviously much better when she plays.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of synergy and upside to have her playing. But I think right now what they're learning is that they need to learn how to play without her.
Yeah.
And I think it's valuable too. I mean, I want her to play and I want her to
Right.
be healthy. I want every W player to be healthy and I want them to play. But I think there's still some value in it for them, especially going down the stretch. I think we'll really see what the value is, right? Especially with her, resting and
Mhm.
getting better. But yeah, I still think that they're going to turn, I hate to say a cliche thing like this, but lemons into lemonade in a lot of ways for that team. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that as we go into the second half of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, we gotta get bold here for a minute,
Oh,
because
no.
there's a lot of things that people think are going to happen in the second half.
Mhm.
But let's give our bold predictions. And listen, I'll kick it off
Okay.
because I have one that might not seem that bold, and you're going to say that I'm biased because I'm a Bay Area girl. But my bold prediction is that the Valkyries will be the first expansion team to make the playoffs in their inaugural season. And I know they've had a little bit of rough games kind of lately, but from working at the Warriors, if there's anything that I know is they don't play when it comes to having goals. And Joe Lacob said at the beginning, he wants to have a championship within 5 seasons, right? Which is like a bold prediction in itself. But
Yeah.
seeing what Natalie Nakase has done, seeing how the players are literally all getting their shine in different ways and earning that stage, I want to see it. I want to see them make the playoffs in their inaugural season. I want them to be the first. And I think they'll do it. I really, truly do.
Shout out to the Yay area.
Yeah.
Um My bold prediction's not so bold. Just like you are gonna ride for your home team, I'm gonna ride for mine too. And the Liberty are going back to the chip, and they're gonna repeat. I'm sorry, Lynx fans. I'm sorry, Fee. You can have the MVP, but we bringing another trophy to Brooklyn, baby. You already know. I absolutely love what I'm seeing from the Liberty. I absolutely love what I'm seeing from them prior to the break. I think that this is a team that knows that a repeat is very much a real possibility for them. I think that this is probably the most serious, the healthiest, the most focused Liberty team, even more so than this time last year that I've seen in my entire lifetime. I just know that, look, right now, everybody always, one thing I don't like is when people talk about, championships in New York, they always seem to forget the Liberty. They always seem to forget that the Liberty brought us one. And I don't like the disrespect. So I know I have a Knicks shirt on. I love my New York Knicks. But right now, the only basketball team bringing us hardware are the girls in Briquet. So shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to the Liberty, the Barclays. I love that, the Tsai family has just put so much behind this team and has made it so that this team only has to focus on winning games, winning championships. And that is what every team in this league should be doing for their players. And I think that the Liberty know that they are in a position to where this is the time, and you don't know how much longer you'll have this combination of Stewie and Sabrina and just the entire roster together, and you have to reap the benefits for as long as you can. And I think they're very much aware of that.
Liberty Bibberty. but seriously, I personally still think the Lynx are going to take it.
This is
however. Oh, that is bold. That is bold. The prediction, wow. the bold prediction is that the Fever will win.
You did say bold, so.
Oh no, that's as bold as you can get, baby. But literally, I do like the swagger of the Liberty. I feel like, JJ is back. Yeah. I think she was the leading scorer in her first game back. They've had amazing additions where it's just like, how do you make this team better when you won the championship? They continue to do that with players. And so I lean towards what you're saying. I want, I would love to see the Lynx, with the chip on their shoulders come back and get it. But the swagger that they have is just kind of like, we got this on lock. Like, no matter what kind of opposition, injuries, anything that has happened, they just keep the main thing, and they, thing. So I don't know. We shall see. Abby Sports says bold predictions: Chicago Sky will sneak into the playoffs. What do you think about that, Ashley?
I mean, it would have to be a drastic turnaround. Yes. And even if they were able to sneak, let's just play hypothetically, I just don't know if I believe they're ready yet. I just think that, and again, this was always going to be a team that required some time. And I think that the benefit of the Chicago Sky is they have a front office, they have a coaching staff that has a lot of experience in player development. And that's something that they were prepared to do always with this team. It's a young team. It's a team that there's a lot of room to mold them and grow them. I don't know if this is, even if they were hypothetically able to creep into the playoffs, I wouldn't expect much. I just don't know if they're there yet. So I also don't think they're creeping in, but just playing devil's advocate, if they were, I wouldn't expect much. So.
Well, one thing that I expect every single week, Ashley, is that we're going to have a guarantee of the week. So right now it is time for the AT&T Guarantee of the Week presented by AT&T. Now, this is where we guarantee something that is going to happen. And for me, my guarantee after this all-star break is that the stud buds are going to get a reality show. We need it. I want it. In a way, we just had it with the 72-hour stream. But I know that everyone is coming at them with, different types of things that they want to do with them, because how could you not? It was genius, number one, but also I just love the authenticity of the stud buds, who they are, what they mean to the sport, but then also just like being themselves. It was just a beautiful thing to see. They showed the All-Star weekend like nobody else could. And I can just see somebody, I guarantee that somebody wants to do a reality show. Now, I will tell you this, it needs to be done right. You can't have this reality show and not let them be who they are, right? That is what the magic is. But I guarantee it. If they don't already have some people asking, they will soon.
Mine is kind of in the same vein, but I think, as we know, we got the Team USA documentary for the men's side, and a lot of people were upset that the women's team didn't get a documentary. And I think that because of just how explosive this past All-Star weekend was for the WNBA in terms of the protests, in terms of the stream, in terms of the storylines, and just each and everything that kind of went into making this so dynamic, I would not be surprised if a docu-series following next year's WNBA All-Star is in the works, and we get a series chronicling WNBA All-Star 2026.
Okay. I like that. I think there needs to be more coverage in every way anyway. Like there should be more docu-series. People have even talked about having a reality show for the W, and I can definitely see it. There's a lot of storylines there.
There's a lot of characters too.
A lot. So we shall see, but something that we're definitely going to be watching is some upcoming games, and there are some good ones coming down the line. So in the chat, make sure you drop the games that you're looking forward to seeing, but we're going to specifically focus on the Mercury Liberty game that is coming up. This is number 3 with the Mercury, and number 2. They're playing each other, obviously, and it's going to be a really good battle. I mean, the teams are like evenly matched in a lot of ways. You're looking at, DeWanna Bonner has been added to the team, so you're seeing how that is going to come together. Satu, I know Satu was out with injury. I'm not exactly sure if she's back, but you're looking at 3 players that are getting healthier and being able to play together in Satu Thomas and Kalia Copper. So definitely looking to see that. But then also the Liberty just added Emma Missaman, and she's definitely waiting to come back because she has to get her visa. So not sure when that will happen, but she's a phenomenal addition to a team that is already a huge threat when it comes to this. I mean, they're looking to repeat. So JJ is back. We talked about that. They're first in offense, second in defense, second in net rating. So, I mean, the Liberty, you already talked about it. They're doing great things. So looking at both of those teams that are poised they need to win, looking at that moving forward. So it's going to be a good one. I mean, Liberty is number 2. They're trying to be number 1, lock in that number 1 spot. And the Mercury, like we said, they're locking in on all cylinders. So looking forward to seeing that. What are your thoughts on this game coming up?
It's going to be a good one. For me, I just think that the Liberty, the most important thing is to continue their trajectory that they had set for themselves prior to the All-Star break, and just making sure that they don't get complacent with how they ended before the break, and they just continue. Now it's really where you really got to laser in and focus. I think that this is going to be a good matchup for them. I think that any time you have a matchup with a team that is just as good as you are, if not better in some aspects, and especially when you talk about the Mercury, who I believe already beat the Liberty this season. Yeah, they did. Okay, awesome. You want to kind of get your lift back, and you want to see the team fix the things that they didn't do well in that first matchup. And I think that's what a lot of Liberty fans are going to be looking for, is how does this team kind of bounce back against a team that had their number already this season. But when you talk about matchups, though, everyone in the chat's talking about this one, Alicia, and that is the Sky and the Fever. 2 teams dealing with 2 drastically different issues. You have the Fever at 7, the Sky at 11. We mentioned it throughout this show. Both teams kind of going through growing pains for different reasons. Both teams very, very young. Both teams kind of developing in real time and trying to figure out in real time. What are you expecting from this matchup? Where are you leaning towards?
Well, I think what I am actually looking towards is who is actually going to play.
That's because a good
question. Caitlin is day to day. You have Angel right now, who I don't like. Maybe they did this while we've been on this pod, but they were talking about suspension because She has had 7 technicals, I believe, which is over the threshold. And then on top of that, she was having some back issues. And so when you look at kind of just like who is going to be out there, that to me, that's the biggest reason why I'm looking at this. Obviously, it's always a matchup everybody wants to see, but is it going to be the matchup that we think we're going to see is my question.
That is a good question, because there are a lot of question marks, as you said, but it's going to be interesting also whoever does play, because both of these teams are vying for playoff spots. And both teams, again, are trying to figure it out. So if you thought the W was slowing down, Caitlin said, Aaliyah Boston legacy game. I like that. Let's see. I don't know if I'd say legacy game, but it's going to be a good one for sure. But you know what? We've seen Aaliyah Boston do some amazing things.
Always.
I would not be surprised if she put the fever on her back in this matchup. I was so glad to be able to do the show with you today. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. We appreciate everybody in the chat and rocking with us this whole season so far. There's still so much basketball to cover. So we want to remind you all to lock in with us on all of our social media channels, and make sure you are subscribed and you are following the YouTube page as well, because when we go live like this, or we do any special edition shows after special edition events or big events, that's how you will get notified. So you can't get notified if you aren't subscribed. And at the end of the show, we will have a QR code that you can scan. So if you're somebody who needs to listen to the pods and you like to listen as you're driving into work, whatever the case may be, we got you covered there too. Scan that QR code, and wherever you get your pods, we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's no reason to not be tapped in with us right here on We Need to Talk Now.
We'll see you next week.